Right, everyone knows a Panama ship offers wild adventures. All steady. I need that engine room hero. Mark won't wait. We'll do our best. Come on, use your magic. Call me and hand over your Twitter card. Tony dialed the shipping authority's internal line, and soon Mark had all his documents ready. Mark wasn't idle either. A quick call managed to secure Old Hewing in Panama City, and given their solid history, he even threw in a free train for them. After everything was set up. Subtitles, Mark and Andy boarded on time, embarking on a grand voyage to Panama City. Once underway, Mark promptly withdrew his $200,000. Seizing the moment when no one was looking, he quietly stuffed all the cash into a secret firebox and then headed to the mess hall to meet up with his smuggling buddies. Just then, the captain, heading to the dining area, recognized Mark right away. To avoid making any more mistakes, he decided to demote Mark to the ship's janitor. Surprisingly, this suited Mark perfectly. While cleaning the bridge, he obtained blueprints of all compartments and studied them. He found a large gap behind the tool wall, so Mark cut the steel plate behind it that night. He then rehung the tool wall cover to hide it. Just like that, he successfully concealed a secret compartment that wasn't even on the blueprints. Mark then responsibly gathered all the crew involved. He laid out the entire plan because the ship would only dock in Panama for a limited time, so they had to squeeze in as much time as possible. Releasing hydraulic oil from the engine room best lowers startup efficiency, buying extra hours. Just then, while Mark was instructing his buddies on releasing the oil, his wife Kate called. Apparently, the mother had a little revenge planned for Mark's recent antics. She ambushed Kate and the kids right as they got home, smashing items around and even brandishing a gun until it unloaded. The intruders only reluctantly left when they feared the cops would show up, and Kate's call sent Mark into a but Mark, miles away in Panama, was powerless. He told Kate to take the kids to Tony's for safety. Right now, only Tony could protect them, but just as he said that, the commanding captain suddenly got nervous, as their body had just released too much hydraulic oil. The ship was approaching the dock and couldn't slow down, about to crash into the unloading dock totally out of Mark's plan. In a critical moment, Mark sprinted to the front deck and smashed the rusty ship's chain, steering the ship just in time. Crew quickly disembarked and rushed to Old Hewing's printing factory in Old Panama City. When Mark saw the bills Old Hewing prepped, he knew it wasn't what he wanted. So, he dropped some ink on the bill's front, and the bottom layer quickly showed. Clearly, this batch lacks acid-free paper for printing, so bringing it to the US won't fetch a good price. Faced with Mark's questions, Old Hewing had no choice but to reveal the truth. A tough guy named Mad Dog had taken out his supply months ago. This guy was brutal. Ever since, Old Hewing couldn't get access to the special printing paper anymore. Now, only Mad Dog in Panama City had the cash Mark needed. Realizing he'd been tricked, Mark told Tony the latest news. Tony again advised him to deal in cocaine, to recover all losses. But stubborn Mark wasn't willing to cross that line. After much deliberation, Mark decided to meet Mad Dog himself. Upon arrival, he asked Andy to stay in the car and guard the cash. He then took crew member Danny directly to meet Mad Dog. Given Mark's previous dealings with Mad Dog's boss had heard plenty. When Mad Dog discovered Mark was his first client back in the game, he happily accepted Mark's trade. What's more, he even let Mark in on a big deal he was planning and said that if Mark agreed to join in, I'd hand over the cash for free. But Mark didn't have the time to be fancy and had to decline Mad Dog's offer. Danny drove back to find no cash, and Andy had vanished. Minutes ago, Andy got a threatening text from Mother, buy her enough cocaine as required, or she'd kill Kate and the kids. She did this because Tony was her boss. Turns out Tony had been secretly smuggling drugs. Since Andy accidentally messed up the last batch of cocaine, Tony was now in hot water. With no other options, Tony targeted Mark. But after nagging, Mark still refused to get into the drug trade. With no options left, Tony used Mother to scare Andy, indirectly carrying out his smuggling plan. Once Mad Dog realized he'd been played, his face turned sour instantly, and with a snap, he surrounded Mark with his crew life or death moment. Mark agreed to join Mad Dog's next operation, narrowly escaping. Half hour later, Mark and Danny reached the designated spot that Mad Dog had requested. All they had to do was intercept the armored truck when though it wasn't an easy task. Mark charged out without hesitation to save his life and retrieve the cash. Before Mark and Danny even got out of the car, Mad Dog and his heavily armed crew showed up. They quickly blasted open the car door and then opened fire on the forced out guards. In just seconds, all the guards were meat for Mad Dog's bullet. They quickly pulled out a frame from the armored truck. They were there to steal a painting. But just then, the arriving SWAT quickly surrounded Mad Dog's crew. With the upper hand and firepower, Mad Dog's screens were wiped out instantly. With no escape, Mad Dog had to steal a truck and flee with the painting, while Mark and Danny, hiding behind a vehicle, jumped into the truck. They hadn't gone far when a cop's bullet hit Mad Dog, and they returned to base. Mad Dog, with a bullet in his neck, was lifeless, so Mark covered the fake cash with a stolen painting. They sped to Holland's port, but then some teammates had delayed Holland. The captain's patience hit its limit, but Mark made it just before loading was banned.